Before we begin with our discussion of the practice of religion or the belief on supernatural being or power, let us first give a definition to the words spiritual self. Spiritual self is you or us in our most beautiful and powerful form. It is the authentic self, the unconditioned part, the us without patterns. Throughout the world, in all of the great spiritual patterns, there is a teaching about divinity being within us. Activities that nurture our spirit and allows us to think bigger than ourselves is called spiritual care. It does not have to be religious, although for some it is. And there are some examples of it like meditation, yoga, going to a place of worship, being in nature, dedicating time for self-reflection, and etc. There is an importance of spiritual self. Spirituality is linked to many important aspects of human functioning. Spiritual people have positive relationships, high self-esteem, are optimistic, and have meaning and purpose in life. Spiritual people self-actualize. The practice of religion, belief on supernatural being or power. The Philippines proudly boasts to be the only Christian nation in Asia. Isipin nyo yun, merong 48 countries and 3 territories in Asia, pero tayo lang yung nag-iisang bansa na talaga masasabi mong more on Christian ang nakatira. Most of today's Filipinos identify themselves as Christians, which is evident naman sa ating strong religious traditions. At least 88% of our current population identify themselves as Christians, with 79% of it being Catholic. The remaining 9% are between Protestantism, Orthodoxy, Restorationism, Independent Catholicism, and other Christian groups like the Seventh-day Adventist Church, Iglesia ni Cristo, United Church of Christ in the Philippines, Members Church of God International or MCGI, and Pentecostals. While the remaining 12% of the population are either composed of Muslim Filipinos, agnostics, non-Western indigenous beliefs and practices. The Chinese minority, although statistically insignificant, has been culturally influential in coloring Filipino Catholicism, with many of the beliefs and practices of Buddhism, Taoism, and Confucianism still evident in our current time. The Philippine Constitution guarantees the separation of church and state and calls for equal respect for all religions and requires the country to be secular. A country having different religion is like having different perspectives. And with perspectives, hindi naman masasabi na yung mga sagot talaga is mali. Kasi with perspectives, kung ang perspective ko ito, para sa akin, tama to. And kung ayun yung perspective mo, para sa'yo, tama yan. Hindi kita pwedeng i-repeat na, ay hindi, mali ka. Eh, ayun yung perspective niya, hindi naman yun yung perspective ko. Ayun yung meron sa perspectives, diba? And religion, in religion, we can believe something na hindi ba talaga natin nakikita, and that is faith. But science always begs to differ. Dapat lahat logical, dapat lahat ma-explain. Anitism, animism, and Bathalism. The pre-Hispanic belief system of Filipinos consisted of a pantheon of gods, spirits, creatures, and men that guarded the streams, fields, trees, mountains, forests, and houses. Bathala, who created earth and man, was superior to these other gods. And spirits. Regular sacrifices and prayers were offered to placate these deities and spirits, some of which were benevolent, some malevolent. Wood and metal images represented ancestral spirits, and no distinction was made between the spirits and their physical symbol. Reward or punishment after death was dependent upon behavior in this life. In scholarly literature, anitism is the act of making religious sacrifice to an anito or spirit. Many natives of the archipelago of Philippines also engage in ancestor worship, the reverence for the anito or spirits of their ancestors, whom they believe ascended to godhood in langit, literally the sky world, where a pantheon of deities live. The pantheons and practices, as well as localized iterations on these basic beliefs in gods, goddesses, and good and bad spirits varied from community to community. In Luzon, one can still find many pagan tribes who practice this anitism in the Cordilleras and Central Luzon, the Kalinga, Apayao, Ifugao, Aita, Ibatan, and Imbanag among them. Ancestor worship being what it was, idolatry wasn't far behind. The natives made representation of their revered and deceased ancestors in the form of anito statues, also called bulol or bulol, carved on local hardwood. These figures of squatting or sitting humanoids could be small enough to wear as amulets or life-size and hefty enough to be left to guard greenery, entrances, and homes. It was common to leave offerings of flowers and food before these statues to ensure prosperity and protection for the community or family to which they belong. This bulol was so called for their absence of mouths, for the dead no longer speak. Hindi ko alam kung lahat ba kayo dito nakakita na nitong sinasamba nila na anito, pero ang itsura ng anito is isang humanoid o mukha talagang tao siya na kadalasan nakaupo or kung hindi naman nakaupo, nakatayo na may bitbit na weave basket o kaya naman kung hindi weave basket is yung para siyang kahoy na may patusok and sabi nila sa ibang lugar daw ang term doon is bangkaw, ganyan. Para talaga yung itsura ng anito na yun ay nagbabantay sa mga pananim. Kadalasan itong anito ay sinasamba ng mga magsasaka since alam nila na itong anito ay proproteksyonan ang kanilang mga pananim. Animism, on the other hand, is defined as the notion that every species, place, and thing has a unique spiritual essence. Animism may also be defined as the belief in supernatural power that organizes and animates the material universe. Just like any believer in any of the world's religions, animists believe in the existence of the Almighty. It is worthwhile to note that the term babaylan is used in the Visayas and parts of Mindanao to refer to women who are healers, intercessors with the local deities, and keepers of herb lore, as well as valued spiritual advisors to the community's top echelons and political leaders. The males who practiced the same rituals and had the same functions as the babaylan were called bayot or binabae, and they donned feminine garb when exercising the functions of their office. In Luzon, the people who feel these capacities are a spiritual leader and healer were called katalonan, whatever gender they may be. Eventually, the Catholic friars demonized the animism and ancestor worship of the Indios they had been sent to convert, making malignos, evil spirits, of their mythical creatures, reducing the powerful diwata, mountain guardians, or goddesses to small fairy creatures like Tinkerbell of J. M. Barrie's Peter Pan, and forced the animist priestesses and priests to resort to dark magics, kulam, hexes, and barang, killing curses. I don't know about you, but when I hear the term animism, ang una talagang pumasok sa isip ko is yung mga vegan na talagang ayaw nilang may nasasaktang mga animals, na dun sa mga kinakain nila, ayaw nila nang may malalaman sila na, ay, galing pala yun sa cow, ganyan. Kaya ayaw nila ng mga dairy products, diba? Ako, pag animism kasi parang pag gusto mong gawing timely example, ayun yung pumapasok sa isip ko. And lastly, Bathalism. Bathalism is the reverence for Bathala Maykapal, the transcendent supreme being, the originator and ruler of the universe. Ang Bathala, ito yung pinaka nakakataas, kataas-taasan, and people believe na si Bathala, siya ang gumawa ng lahat ng mga gods and goddesses na pinapaniwalaan ng iba. And siya yung wino-worship ng mga ancestors natin na umakyat na sa langit. Fun fact, itong term nating parating ginagamit na bahala na comes from the word talaga na bathala na, which means parang ikaw na po Lord yung bahala, ganun. Kaya, ayun, kapag magte-test ka, alam mo nang gagawin mo. It's Bahala na or bathala na?
The concept of dungan and ginhawa, the spirit and soul. Our spiritual self was composed of spirit and soul, or spirito and kaluluwa in Tagalog. The soul or life force exists in both animate and inanimate objects. Our ancestors believe in environmental spirits, mga anito, mga dead ancestral souls, and natural forces like wind, moon, and stars that can be called upon for assistance. So, according to the Babaylan, the dungan is a companion that coexists inside our body that gives us life, animation, and sensibilities, or ito yung nagbibigay sa atin ng kamalayan. And this dungan can leave the body temporarily during sleep, but it is dangerous for the dungan to leave the person when the person is awake. And in religious belief, this is believed to continue to exist after our body dies. Pinaniniwalaan din na yung kaluluwa ay subject for reward or punishment after na mamatay yung isang tao. Pwedeng ma-reincarnate ito, meaning mabuhay muli sa ibang katawan ng tao or hayop, or maaaring mapunta sa langit or impyerno. The ginhawa is another spirit that resides in our body. Ginhawa is derived from the Greek word pneuma, meaning breath, and like the wind, this spirit is invisible and powerful. Ginhawa is the breath of life and is the vital force that is responsible for the beating of the heart and pulse. This leaves the body when the person dies. The dungan and ginhawa should always be together, since ginhawa provides the vital life force, while dungan provides consciousness, intellect, and emotion. If dungan lives, ginhawa can sustain life and the person dies.
I will discuss the definitions of rituals, ceremony, religion, magic, and witchcraft. The first one is the ritual. A ritual is a series of events involving gestures, words, actions, or items that are carried out in a predetermined order. The customs of group, including a religious community, may dictate rituals. Formalism, traditionalism, invariance, rule governance, sacral symbolism, and performance are characteristics of rituals but not their definitions. So, yung ritual po is yung mga tampok ng lahat ng mga kilalang mga lipunan ng tao. Kasama sa mga ito, hindi lamang po yung mga ritual ng pagsamba at mga sakramento ng organisadong relihiyon at kulto, kundi pati na rin po yung mga ritual ng pagpasa, pagbabayad sala, paglilinis, panunumpa ng katapatan, mga seremonya ng pagtatalaga, koronasyon, at pati na yung inaugurasyon ng Pangulo, kasal, libing at iba pa. Kahit na ang mga karaniwang aksyon tulad ng pakikipagkamay at pagsasabi ng hello ay maaari nating tawaging mga ritual. Ceremony. A ceremony is a coordinated ritualistic event with the goal is conducted for special occasions. Ceremonies typically include a variety of creative elements. There are types of ceremony. The first one is weddings, commitments, renewal, namings, and yung last one is ritual. So yung ritual po is one of the type of ceremony. Next one is yung religion. Religion is a collection of institutionalized ideas, customs, institutions that frequently have to do with the belief in and veneration of a supreme power, such as a personal god or some other supernatural entity. So, yung religion po is kasama nito yung spirituality. Sila po ay parehong nakaugat sa pagsisikap na maunawaan ang kahulugan ng buhay at sa mga ilang kaso kung papaano yung isang relasyon sa isang mas mataas na kapangyarihan na maaaring makaimpluwensya sa kahulugan na yon. Habang yung relihiyon at spirituality ay magkatulad sa pundasyon, is magkaiba naman po sila sa pagsasagawa. Ang relihiyon ay isang organisado, nakabatay sa komunidad na sistema ng mga paniniwala, habang yung spirituality ay namamalagi sa loob ng individual at kung ano yung personal nilang pinaniniwalaan. Yung ideya ng relihiyon at spirituality ay parang parihaba kumpara sa isang parisukat. Sa loob ng relihiyon, mayroong spiritualidad. Ngunit kung meron ka namang spiritualidad, hindi agad yun nangangahulugan na meron kang relihiyon. Ito is ayon sa isang tao na nagsasagawa ng parehong relihiyon at spiritualidad. Magic. Magic is a practice of ideas, rites, or acts done with the intention of controlling natural or supernatural forces. It is a classification that includes diverse rituals and ideas that are occasionally seen as existing independently of both religion and science. So, yung salitang magic po is ginagamit upang tukuyin po yung pagsasanay ng mahika ng maraming iba't ibang kultura sa paglipas ng mga siglo, na may ipinapahiwatig mula sa positibo hanggang sa negatibo. Sa modernong occultism and neo-pagan na mga relihiyon, marami naglalarawan sa sarili ng mga salamangkero at mangkukulam na regular na nagsasagawa ng ritual na mahika. Ang kahulugan na yon ay pinasikat ni Aleister Crowley, isang maimpluwensyang British occultist, at mula noon ay pinagtibay na ito ng ibang relihiyon. Witchcraft. Witchcraft is a term used to describe the negative use of magic or other supernatural abilities. A witch is one who practices, where the phrase first appeared in medieval and early modern Europe. Suspected witches were typically women who were thought to have attacked their own community and frequently had mutualistic relationship with the evil entities. So, yung pangkukulam or yung witchcraft ay pagsasagawa ng kung ano ang pinaniniwalaan ng practitioner, which is yung witch, na mga mahiwagang kakayahan at mga aktibidad tulad ng mga spell, incantation, at mahiwagang ritual. Sa Pilipinas, tulad ng marami sa mga kulturang ito, ang mga mangkukulam ay tinitingnan bilang mga laban sa sagrado. Sa kabaliktaran, ang mga antropologo na nagsusulat tungkol sa mga manggagamot sa katutubong relihiyon sa Pilipinas ay maaaring gumamit ng tradisyonal na terminolohiya ng mga kulturang ito o malawak na anthropological na termino tulad ng shaman. Ang isang witch ay yung tao na sinasabing nagsasagawa ng ipinagbabawal na paraan ng mahika. Ang wika naman ay isang kilusan ng nakararami sa kanluran na ang mga tagasunod ay nagsasagawa ng pangkukulam or pagsamba sa kalikasan at sa mga nakikita ito bilang isang relihiyon batay sa mga tradisyon bago ang Kristiyano sa Hilaga at kanlurang Europa. So, yung magic is ito yung ginagamit ng isang witch sa maling paraan. Yun lamang po at maraming salamat po.
They said that there are 3 ways to find meaning in life. According to Viktor Frankl, an Austrian psychiatrist, we can discover the meaning of life in 3 different ways: by creating a work, or doing a deed, by experiencing something, or encountering someone, and by the attitude we take toward unavoidable suffering. First, the way of achievement or accomplishments is quite obvious. Number 1. Remind yourself of the unique roles you play in other people's lives. Take some time to reflect on how much you matter to your loved ones. Make a mental list of your family and friends and think about the unique role you play in their lives. Whether you're a parent, child, sibling, friend, teacher, and a student, you play a unique role in each of your relationships, and those roles add meaning to your life. In each of these examples, you and your loved one matter to each other, and that gives you your meaning in life. For instance, if you're a parent, you play an incomparable role in your kids' lives. You and your best friend are special, unique parts of each other's lives. If you have a sibling, you share an irreplaceable bond with them. Whenever you feel lost and empty, try to rewind the happy and memorable moments that happened in your life. Because remember, today is just a bad day, not a bad life. Number 2, help others in small ways whenever you have the opportunity. Even the smallest acts of kindness can help you make a mark on others people's lives. From your loved ones to complete strangers, try to nurture your connections with others with kindness and generosity. Example, act of kindness. If your sibling just had a baby, try to offer her to babysit so they can sleep, or do some household chores for them. If your partner is stressed out at work, you could cook them a nice comforting meal. If your elderly neighbor has trouble bringing out their trash cans on garbage day, do it for them. Because we all know the feeling of receiving help from others. That's why we do something we can. And for me, helping one person might not change the world, but it could change the world for that person. Number 3, volunteer for a cause that's important to you. In addition to small acts of kindness, volunteering can give you a greater sense of purpose and meaning. Devote your time to a worthy cause and reflect on how your actions are making a real difference in someone's life. Volunteering for a cause is especially meaningful. For example, if you love animals, foster pets or volunteer at a local animal shelter. If a loved one is sick, you could volunteer for a charity related to their illness. And for me, no matter how big or small you did for someone to receive that help of volunteering, you can assure that it will be a big factor for them, that they will always be grateful of you, grateful of that little sacrifice you gave to them, especially when they feel alone and think there's no solution in their problem. And before we, Group 8, end this recorded discussion, I just want to conclude all the things we discussed about spiritual self. First is the practice of religion in the Philippines, which is we have at least 88% of the population identify as Christian, with 79% of them being a Catholic. The remaining 9% are between Protestantism, Orthodoxy, and Restorationism. Second is the concept of dungan and ginhawa. Dungan and ginhawa should be paired, like within the same person, there is a second spirit. While dungan supplies the mind, feelings, and consciousness, ginhawa offers the essential life force. The third thing we discuss are the rituals, ceremonies, religion, magic, and witchcraft. Ritual. A ritual is a series of events involving gestures, words, actions, or items that are carried out in a predetermined order. Ceremony. Ceremony is a coordinated ritualistic event with a goal that is conducted for a special occasion. Religion. Religion is a collection of institutionalized ideas, customs, and institutions that frequently have to do with a belief. Magic. Magic is a practice of ideas, rites, or acts done with the intention of controlling supernatural forces. Witchcraft. Witchcraft is a term used to describe the negative use of magic or other supernatural abilities. Last but not the least are the 3 ways to find meaning in life. That is, number 1, remind yourself of the unique roles you play in other people's lives. Number 2, help others in small ways whenever you have the opportunity. And last but not the least is volunteer for a cause that's important to you. Again, I am Jordan Michael C. Redrino. reporter of Group 8. We thank you for your patience and have a good day to everyone.